Hello, 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 everybody. Let me turn the music down just a little. I want to make sure that I can be properly heard while also, like, the music being properly heard. While also not peaking, because that would be really bad. So I think I got it down to something. Hopefully that's enough. Oh. There we go. So I'm gonna try to use Inktober as a means of. I'm gonna turn down the mic a little. Sorry for like fidgeting around. Sometimes I just don't know. I'm still not like a professional streamer. So today I'm gonna be going for more of like that. Cause today is Castle, from what I recall. I need to double check. I'm like that weird person who's like, I don't know what it is. Inktober. Messages. Yep. Castle. So today is Castle. So I think today would be an interesting concept to make it like a children's storybook like picture. So like very interesting, or like a child drew it. I just think that would be like a very interesting concept. Let's see here. Is this big enough? Just like a bit more like a kid that's a professional artist. So because I'm lazy. There we go. Doing like the stereotypical castle. On this part we'll have the rounded part so that it's like, yeah, we know it's like rounded. Get some of those really unique characteristics that make up a castle. Just give it like a basic brick pattern. Not too worried about it being even. Just one. You can always modify the bricks later. Also, I want to thank all the people who watch now or who watch later. I appreciate you all so very much. Let's go with... I just want a nice brick pattern. Okay, so we got the brick pattern on that one. On that done. It's gonna be way more sloppy because reasons. Just trying to keep a steady, or at least somewhat consistent pattern. And because it's a sketch, I'm not as concerned with it looking neat. I always go back and modify it later when I do like the official outline, because part of this is just not looking that great, but what have you. I'm gonna use colors to tell these parts, like, make them distinct. New, because I don't want the heads to be on, like, the same layer. So, I don't know when I decided that Spider-Girl is always going to be on the right side, but she is. I like the idea of the other girl, like, let's see here. Actually, I'm gonna lower the opacity to that real quick. I want half the other girl's face, like, hiding behind the wall. Not because she, like, mostly for, like, the fun of it. Like, I feel like that's something I would have done as a kid, and probably have. Just hiding behind the wall and having just so much fun. I'm gonna give her signature hair after. And give her. After giving her like eyes. I want them looking more down rather than just... like, she's having fun watching the other girl having, like, playing a game. Not enough in an angle. She too is intrigued by what is going on. I will say the best part about Inktober is just the ability to focus on style. Especially if you're going to be drawing like the same characters over and over again, it gives you so much ability to learn. And so there's so much room to grow. I don't like that eye. getting the brow sketched out, mostly because it gives me so much better, like, ability just to get the emotions down so much better. I find that if I have, like, a sketch where it's, like, I don't have those down, then all of a sudden it just doesn't feel even remotely complete. So... yeah. Duplicate layer, and then erase everything from it. Stabilization 100%. I'm going to go with 25. Oh yeah. For the main outlines, like the, for the outside of the towers and the outside of the main walls, I'm going to go with a thicker line, and then I'm going to go for a lighter one when I go for, like, the bricks. Because I could feel like it would be much better, and it will separate the main outside of the building better. Now that I think about it, okay, I want it to be on 90 degree. This would be so much easier if it was view grid. Okay, that's going to make things so much easier. Especially with lining up all of the bricks. Okay, where's 0? Much better. Okay. Window Then to remove the grid, view, no. This gives yeah, I'm gonna separate it to like 3 bricks so it looks nicer. I'm gonna add one there. Not exactly the easiest thing in the world to do, but hey. Does give a nice look to it in general. We're gonna have like these very tiny little bricks at the bottom. So, looking really good. Window. No, view grid. To like 90 degrees. View, grid. I don't mind the bottom being a bit more janky just because okay. This I can just guesstimate on. And it's going to be slightly more consistent than the other one. A bit too thick. This feels like more like a Bob Ross thing, like just happy little bricks. Just being happy little bricks. And we know they're happy because they're not going through any windshields or anything else. At least not yet. Go with the new layer. We can delete that one because it's not necessary. Alright, I forgot I'm not on mirror mode for this one, so... I hate when I do that, because I'm prone to doing that. New. I just find out how amazing you can get, like, very realistic line art with just, like, a few extra lines. It's a bit too heavy-handed. Yeah, that's not the way I wanted it necessarily. Again, a bit too over heavy-handed with that one. Now, time to do it in the reverse. At like negative 90-degree angle. I just hope my everything doesn't crash and burn, because frankly my computer's been acting up. Back to a 0-degree angle. Get a smaller eraser, because frankly having that kind of huge eraser is ludicrous. Giving her signature triangular brows. And this girl is just a joy to paint. She really is. And it's really hard to put into words why. It's just so much fun. There's this, like, really cool, there's this mask. It's a digital mask. It's Boy with Ook has one. And it's a mask where, the facial features are all digital, and it would be really interesting. I would love to own one of those so I can, like, cosplay as her, because, frankly, she's one of my favorite characters. Or at least cosplay as, like, a variation of her. And I do say variation because I can't cosplay her directly, because, unlike me, she actually has a tan where I am pale as fuck, especially compared to her. So if I did cosplay as something like her, I would make another character and not directly go as her, just because she's so feminine and I am not. Because despite the fact that, like, I'm not feminine, I usually draw feminine characters. It's just something that I'm more comfortable doing. A lot of it is because when I used to draw more masculine characters, I would often be asked, "Oh, is this you? Is this a self-portrait?" And it was... Sometimes it'd be, like, the most random character that I would do, and they would always ask, "Oh, is this a self-portrait?" And it's like, no. And, like, it would be one thing if they would ask for, like, a white character, "Oh, is this a self-portrait?" But then there would be some times where it's like, this is clearly someone of a different race. How the actual fuck is this a self-portrait? And I would literally question them all the time on that. It would be like, no, how is this person a self-portrait when they are clearly a different race? Or, "Oh, is this based off of you?" And it's like, no. How is it that every time I draw a human being or a literal, like, yeah, if it's a human being, they're like, "Oh, is this, like, based off of you?" It's like, no. No. As an artist, I do not just draw pictures of me constantly. Which is also why I never really do self-portraits. I mean, there are like a million different reasons why I don't do self-portraits, but that's one of them. Just, it's like, I don't want to be asked like a million different times, hey, is this a self-portrait? When the answer is clearly no. My favorite time I think I was ever asked that was when I was doing Rue from the Hunger Games. And granted, I was like really early on in the drawing phase where it was like just the sketch. But it was still so weird that like I was drawing features that I did not have. And they were like, okay, is this a self-portrait? That was like, oh, that was like well over 10 years ago. So I don't get that a lot. I don't want her hair to be heavily done because it does have light hair. Giving her very light streaks. Harder to get it to look nice on bends, though. Actually, that I can work with. Oh, I hate when that happens. Sometimes my my pen will like just complete the stroke, even though like connect 2 points together, because I haven't lifted my brush off to, well, enough. I'm gonna go with a 20 here. Yeah. New. Add these really cute highlights to the eyes. Now that I think about it though, should be more consistent, so I should put these on the right, or the bigger ones on the right and the smaller ones on the left. Neat. Turn that up to 100. Not that I'm going to keep it. Let me try something. Select. Invert selection. No, not shrink. Shrink by, let's go 4 pixels. Let's see what that does. Oh. First of all, wrong layer. Control D. Duplicate layer. Add some basic shading to this thing. The first round of this is just going to be like basic brick shading, so just going around, giving it some color, and then I'm going to go around with another layer and just give it more definition. I'm also going to be adding some, like a wash to the outside. Right now I just want the texture of the bricks. And I'll blend this out later. A lot of the yeah, I'm gonna be giving the roof a different color in a little bit. Almost there with this side of the bricks. And 60 should be good. Really want to make sure, like, oh, there we go. Just slightly forgot to make it a clip layer. Clipping layers are the best layers. I'm so close to being done with the towers. And then I get to do this shit all over again with the main base. I will say I have an XP Pen Pro. I have one of the bigger ones, and I'm only bringing this up because I'm actually amazed by the durability of this thing, considering the fact that I am so heavy-handed when it comes to, like, literally everything related to art. And, like, even if I set the limit down, it's just going to be, like, so insane. I always have been. Like, when I was in art school, we had this place for the arts, and it was not a college, but just a general place for people to learn how to do art. And I remember my teacher, she, because we were working with pencils, and just learning how to do a basic charcoal sketch, and I remember her telling me, yeah, you don't need these special H2 shading pencils and things like that. You can just stick with a standard pencil, because you are so heavy-handed that you can get the shading just with a standard pencil. And it was so funny. It was just so funny to have, like, my teacher basically tell me, yeah, don't bother with any sort of fancy pencil. You're good. Everybody else, break out the fancy HB pencils. Lev, you can just do whatever. Stick with the mechanical pencil you have. You're good. And that's how I got through, like, a lot of my art classes. Even in high school. My teachers were like, yeah, just stick with the basics. You're good. Or, they would, like, give me special art supplies that would not break every 10 seconds, because, if it was, like, Prismacolor pencils did help in a way of making sure I wasn't as heavy-handed, because that stuff is fragile as fuck. So, if you look at a Prismacolor the wrong way, it'll snap. It's just that fragile because of the nature of Prismacolor. And most artists, they're pretty light-handed, except I'm not, so let's get some basic texture here. I'll blend it out in a minute. And my high school art teacher, she was pretty nice about it. She would acknowledge the fact that, like, I was very heavy-handed, so she would grade based off of that. And so she would keep that in mind when grading my stuff in particular, because she was like, okay, I think at one point she even was like, okay, she's like, if you have a very particular style that you can go for, and that's because it's your strong suit, I will judge it based off the style that you present, so long as it's within the parameters of the, oh, what's I'm trying to think of? Like, so long as it followed the assignment. Ah, damn it, I definitely needed the base color. Ah, here we go. So, like, at one point we were assigned, like, this color pencil thing, and she was like, yeah, you guys can, do your style, and I think the only time she ever had, like, more of a stylistic thing that was required was when we were being taught about pop art and I'm trying to think of the word. It was, like, related to graffiti. And she was, like, a really big fan of Banksy. Because, especially then, Banksy was really in the media at the time. And so she was such a big fan of his work. And so at one point she wanted us to do, and I'm really just stretching to remember, because this was, like, nearly 10 years ago at the time. She said that she wanted us to do a piece that was like a poster that would be representative of what we thought society was. And the great thing was, because it was, she was like, yeah, and she was like, okay, do it in your style as well, but I want, like, you can do a rendition of the style, but try to pick a style that would be, more popular. But I don't think she took points away if you were, like, modified it for how you did art best. She was also my pottery teacher in my like final year at high school, which was amazing because we had another pottery teacher who taught as well, and everybody hated the other pottery teacher because she was so strict. She really was. And she was not fun to be around. I took her class, and I dropped out of said class because she was so demanding, and she was the opposite of my primary art teacher. She was like, okay, this is how we're doing things. When I say I need this particular style, I need this particular style, and I'm pretty sure she would actually remove points if you were not doing it the way she wanted it. Because my mom, like, she went to the parent-teacher conference, and she's like, yeah, she left no time for any parent to ask questions. She was like, okay, ask questions at the very end. And then the very end came, and it was time for them to leave. My mom couldn't ask any questions whatsoever. So the strict art teacher, she was also very much you do this way, and I don't give a damn if you're disabled, I don't give a damn if you have issues, you're gonna learn. Whereas my other art teacher, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna take into consideration your disability. So I really loved her. She was a great art teacher. And just so I don't have to, like, accidentally give out names, the art teacher that I like, I'm just going to call her Art Teacher O. And I should have said that at the beginning, but I wasn't thinking, so there's that. And Art Teacher O would always be just super nice. I remember at one point we had she was doing this paper mache. It was paper mache, and we were supposed to make foods and candies in order to practice that. And I remember she gave a lot of the disabled kids she's like, okay, depending on the severity of your disability, I'm going to give you like, they were like pre-made candies. So it was a Jolly Ranchers, and she's like, I'm gonna give you guys complete liberty to paint it however you want it painted. You guys get to paint it, and I'm making it simple so that way you guys don't get stressed out having to make a very complicated piece. And at the time, I was the only one who was I was the only one with the dexterity to be able to make one, but I did not have the patience, so... And I was the only one in the group who could. So it was kind of like, yeah, we're not going to make you be the only one in this group to do it. But but that was like early on in O's career at the school, and then later on, she would actually implement it so that it was a lot easier for students as myself who were like in between to be able to do the assignments like as close to the standard student as humanly possible. Because when she did that, it was like literally it was her first year at the school. So I don't think she had the tenure or the ability to really know how the school functioned and how to improve it, but she did improve it massively. Well, at least the art department. And while yes, all schools have bad apples, I had like a lot of good teachers that were like art focused, that were very much like, they were so passionate about what they were doing that if you showed the desire to go up and beyond what was expected of you, they would try to accommodate that desire. I was in printing, literally printing shirts, printing other stuff, and the teacher in that printing class, so I cannot remember his name, so I can't even give him like a letter for his name. But the printing teacher was so nice. He would and he knew that I was really passionate about the subject. So, like, he would give me accommodations, but he would also, like, acknowledge, okay, these are what you need. This is your particular need. And I know, like, you're good at doing things very precisely. And the best part was, because I was very sensitive to noises, he would also, not only would he allow me to bring headphones, a lot of times he would allow me to, he would let me do the noisy part. So when you're screen printing, and you're screen printing a shirt, one of the things you have to do is wash the screen. You have to wash the screen with a power washer. And a lot of times he would allow me to power wash when nobody else was power washing, so that way it wasn't too loud. A lot of times it was just because I was fast and I would not have to do it with a lot of other students around. But those tiny accommodations, such as just being able to power wash without having to deal with the noise, was such a lifesaver. I asked him and he's like, yes, put your name on it and we will absolutely allow you to have earphones to prevent the noise, because he was very understanding about that. And a lot of it was just, hey, if you're passionate about it, I want to make sure you continue to be passionate about this. And that was one of the few classes I think I got 100 on that class. Like, the final, like, I consistently got hundreds in that class. Like, it was, like, not just an A+, it was, like, 100. And so it really is, the right teacher can encourage a student to go up and beyond what they might have been able to, just by acknowledging that the student themselves might have a slightly different way of doing things. The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure, like, my old art teacher, I don't know if she still works there, but I do know she lives really close to my house. And she, like, I found that out because my family was doing a yard sale, and she actually stopped by my house and was like, oh yeah, I'm walking the neighborhood. Like, me and my friend are walking the neighborhood. I'm like, really? You guys live nearby? And she's like, oh yeah, like, I live, like, a few, like, blocks down. That's fun. I rarely see her, but I do once in a while. Hi, Mel. Just rambling about my old years in high school. Like, not this year, but next year it's gonna be like 10 years. This is the full piece. I'm doing pretty well. All things considered, I am doing pretty well. Certainly better than yesterday. Yesterday, I went to bed at like 9 and I woke up today at 9. Yeah, like, these are a lot of stones. But the good news is I'm on a mirror mode, so it's not as many. So today's stream's probably going to be going over the 2 hours. Yeah, like once in a while I'll just like sleep for hours. Oh, I do have a new emote. Let's see if I can find it. Ah, there we go. It's, yeah, Kyle Kyleson. Why I have Kyle Kyleson is beyond me. Mostly for the memes. Mostly for the funny. I hope Twitch doesn't take it down. Though I know Captain Picard has, like, Hyde Picard, so it really depends on if EA is going to be a jerk about it. Though I do Kyle Kyleson in the most flattering light ever, so I doubt it. But it's EA. Everything I do is for the meme. At one point, I was thinking of getting an emote of a duck because you're not allowed to have, as a cheeky way of getting around the ban of swear words, but I didn't want to take the risk of getting, like, flagged because someone's like, oh, well, that represents the F word. And, like, that's the intent behind it. So I didn't do it. Like, it would literally be a way of being like, instead of, like, saying the F word, it's like, duck this. But right now I have the ability to upload my emotes and they be automatically approved, and I don't want to lose that ability. I don't think it would be refused. I think it would be flagged because my emotes don't get they just automatically get uploaded. I think because I have no idea why, actually. I have zero idea why. Because Kyle Kyleson just got through immediately. Like, I had that idea, and I'm like, oh, I need this as an emote. And when I mean I had the idea, I mean I was in Dunn's stream, and Dunn is like, oh, we should, someone suggested making a Kyle Kyleson emote. And I had to do it immediately. Because my ability to control my impulses is 0, so... I'm like, yes, Kyle Kyleson needs to be an emote now. At some point in the near future, maybe tomorrow, I'm going to do a series of emotes based off of goats. Like a happy goat, a sad goat. I already have the sad goat, but like an improved version of the sad goat, a mad goat, things like that. And so it would be for when I play TLD and people want to like rate the goat that I had just done. Because I really do like the sad goat emote that I have available. And I'm gonna, like, if I do that, I'm going to offer that on my Etsy as a limited edition emote set. Don't know how many people would actually buy it, but it'll be like 5 emotes, so that way people don't have to, like, replace all their emotes. So, like, the 5 basic emotions: happy, sad, angry, annoyed, and one that's just hurt. Pretty much. Oh, shameless plug-in now. My Etsy actually does have a customized emotes. So if you want a custom emote, you can get one from Etsy. And those have a limited slots available, just so that I don't have to deal with like 60 different orders at once. And they will be like, once they hit 0, I'm going to refresh them. So once I hit 0, I'm just going to put them as restock, so that way the maximum at any time can be 10. So if you would like my art as an emote, visit Avatar Fan 10,000 shop on Etsy. Which I should actually put the link. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Etsy. Okay, so let's go with soft light, maybe? Let's see how this looks. Oh, and I want this 0 stabilization. Or color. Yeah, color works better. But I'm gonna delete that because I actually want this. Color. Get a smaller one too. I'm hoping that this doesn't freeze on me. That's too red. I need something that's more... Let's go for something like this. Maybe it's going to be less red. Get as close as I can without going over. Now I'm going to go with 100%. Try to be very careful when it comes to the edge of that. Duplicate layer. Get black, soft light, get that blended out. I'll add highlights in a minute. There's no chance I'm going to be highlighting every single brick. Duplicate layer, but erase it. I'm actually gonna go for like a light pink for the shingles. I think I have it still on soft light. Normal. Normal. I made that too... No, I didn't want to do that, though. Bit too dark. The whole point is to, like, add a very light wash to the middle. Just to give it, like, a nice slight texture. So you don't want it to feel too bland. New. Yeah, I'm gonna make this underneath just so I don't have to worry about going over the brick. Is it laziness? Yes, but I don't care. And this is kind of like out of left field, but it's something that I kind of feel like mentioning because I don't know if anybody actually talks about this. But, what was it? YouTube, no, Kindle. That's it. Kindle. One thing they have, and this is something more just as a PSA for those who read on Kindle and use the Kindle Select program. If you're a small-time author, you might not even notice this, because if you get enough readers to read, it's hard to do the math, but I actually, by complete accident, found this out. So, when you are part of the Kindle Select program, they will, they'll pay you for every page read. So, even if you don't buy the book directly, they will pay you. Or if someone doesn't buy the book directly, they will pay you. But the thing is, and I only know this because I accidentally got my own book and like I read a page of it, and it was more like an absent-mindedly. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? This is going to like skew the numbers. But because I'm a Kindle Select program, maybe it's more if you. I don't know, like if it's more or less if it's not your account, but I'm not exaggerating. I read a page and I got a penny. It's like a penny a page. And it's so insane. Like, this means that unless you have someone reading like 100-page novel, you're not going to be making any fucking money. And I get it, it's Kindle. Kindle can do whatever the fuck they want, but still. I mean, we're literally talking about pennies on the dollar. And while that does add up, if you're a small indie author and you're not getting that many people to, like, buy the book, oh yeah, like, you have to have, like, millions of readers for it to really be worth it. And I just feel like that's something that, like, should be known. Because I don't think readers fully understand, like, I didn't fully understand how it worked. It's why big authors like, She Who Shall Not Be Named, like, I'm not going to go with that joke, Joanne Rowling, she can offer her book for free. She can offer Harry Potter for basically free in every language because she has so many readers that she will make money regardless. It's just a cash cow for her. And I'm only mentioning her by name because she's like like, as a problematic author, she's like the least problematic I know of. So, like, it's more of like, if you're going to be taking in a book and you like the author's book, especially if it's cheap. I'm not going to say, like, oh, if you get, like, a book that's, like, really short and it's really expensive, you should feel obligated to buy it. But if it's, like, a 99-cent book and you really like the book, it might be worth it to go out of your way to buy the book on Kindle, just because that will give extra help for the author. Even if they're not an indie author, if they're offering their book for super cheap and you like it, that's why there's some times where I'll just buy the book, even if the book is, especially if the book is really short. Or if you can't afford to buy the book, reading the book multiple times. Just because it does help with the author. Hey, no problem. Enjoy your dinner, Mel. No, that's not where it's coming from. Oh, it's from this one. Yeah, I don't need a... The sad thing is that Kindle is one of the, if not the biggest platforms for buying books. Okay, that's just a sketch layer. I can delete that. And so it means that if you're an indie developer, not developer, if you're an indie author, it's a lot harder to find ways to publish your book that are actually decent. Like, not impossible, but just difficult. I did not mean that. New. Going for that color in particular. One YouTuber that I really do enjoy watching, and I highly, highly recommend his content, even though it's not like he isn't as well known in the YouTube sphere, is Folding Ideas. Folding Ideas is an amazing YouTuber who, even if you're especially if you're out for financial advice, he's good at pointing out all of the people just looking for money, all the grifters who are making up all of this insane bullshit in order to get your money. He won't say it, but a lot of people like credit him for being a good percentage of why NFTs just crashed and failed. His video Line Goes Up is an amazing piece of art that deserves its own award. Like, it's so good that I'm pretty sure if YouTube videos were allowed to be nominated for the Oscars, it would win. It's that good. It's like, I have YouTube Premium, and I keep YouTube Premium around just so that I can have Line Goes Up downloaded on my phone at all times. Like, I will literally sit and watch, I'll listen to it while doing, while cleaning up and doing stuff. It's like one of those go-to videos that, like, helps me focus. Mostly because my rage toward NFTs is so great that I will literally watch a video, reminding myself of that in order to be like, okay, this is why it fails. It also just does a really good job at explaining the 2008 financial stock market crash, so it's a pretty good history lesson overall. Another great video of his is about the Nicholson twins, and they are these grifters who are so insanely stupid. And I call them that because their entire dynamic pitch of the money they make is basically saying, oh, have you heard, here's a way to make money from, like, Amazon's best kept secret Audible. Like, I heard that once from his video, and I'm like, wait a minute. And he didn't, like, before he even explained anything else, I'm like, Audible's been around for, like, decades. I remember hearing Audible advertisements for years now. Like, I was literally, like, I've been knowing about these things for decades. I remember, I think I was in middle school. Oh my gosh. I'm not exaggerating. I was in middle school when Kindle first came out, and I did an entire review on that, and then I was very aware of, and audiobooks have been around forever, so, not just audiobooks, but Kindle, Audible has been around forever, so it's kind of like, how is this a best kept secret if literally everyone and their mom knows? And, Dan from Line Goes Up, he's like, yeah, this is literally something that everybody knows about, like, and he did, like, a collage of so many people just saying, an advertisement for Audible. This video has been brought to you by Audible. So, like, while yes, there are going to be people who statistically don't know about Audible, it's not like if you are a business or a writer, you would be unfamiliar with the concept of audiobooks. I think, like, audiobooks were around since, like, I know they were around since, like, the 1900s. Like, I'm not exaggerating. The audiobooks have been around since then. It was, audiobooks were first initially pitched as a way of helping the blind read, and I know that they were originally called talking books. And I kind of pin it at the 1900s, around that time, especially the early 1900s, though it might have been later than that. I cannot exactly remember when. but it was especially around the time of Helen Keller, because she was a big fan of audiobooks, or talking books as she called them. And so the general gist of the, I mean, I would still recommend watching the Folding Ideas video about it, but the general gist of that video is how it's made for you audiobooks, and the basic scam is you hire someone for pennies on the dollar to write a book. You just get someone to write a shitty book. It's literally shitty because you're just hiring someone to slap a few keywords together, and then you hire the cheapest bidder. You go for the cheapest, the lowest bidder, and then you, for writing, then you get the cheapest bidder to record the audiobook. You post it on Amazon, and you make a shit ton of money because you did no work whatsoever. And it's insane how cheap, and it's like they get like maybe 10 cents a word. And so it's like you have like a month to write a 25,000 word novel about a subject you could not give a fuck about. And I did this on the wrong layer. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm too lazy to fix it. I'll deal with it when I get to it. These writers write subjects they really don't care about, and then it gets published, and the person gets to claim they wrote a book when they did literally fuck all. And it's not really a good thing, especially since if you're just going for the laziest thing you can possibly do, the easier thing to do would be just to skip the concept of the middleman and just, like, actually write a book. I mean, if we're gonna go for, like, not caring about the audience, then, just tricking people into buying low-quality smut is an option. Or at least just focusing on that. Not saying you should. And getting that turned into an audiobook. It's more honest. Also, just a heads up, quick PSA, if someone offers you a position where it's like, oh, this is going to be easy, you just have to pay me, that is the product. That's just a product in of itself. They're selling you something, and that selling you something is going to be profitable for them and not profitable for you. And, like, I'm no financial guru when it comes to literally anything, but I do know the best way to make money is to not be handing your money to someone else unless there is a clear product being sold that can be directly given finance. So, for example, if you're going for an advertisement agency, that advertisement agency can say, yes, we are going to be giving you this particular service. This is what the, how we're going to do it, and we're going to explain. But if it's just like, oh, we're going to teach you something, be more wary about that. Especially if the information seems to be vague. Like the Nicholson twins, basically their entire thing is, oh, we're going to teach you how to, like, make these audiobooks made for audiobook things, and it's like, okay, but the entire thing explains itself. There is no specific thing you have to do in order to hire a ghostwriter, which is basically what it is. You're just hiring a ghostwriter. And so that kind of course should not cost like $5,000 fucking dollars. Just a thought. It's like if a course cost you $5,000, something went wrong. Something went terribly, terribly wrong in the equation. Oh no, I did not actually screw up and put it on the wrong layer. Neat. I'm gonna erase this real quick. I thought it was on the wrong layer, so oops. But personally, I'm actually relieved that it's not. I'm pretty sure now Folding Ideas is literally just a channel dedicated to preventing people from getting scammed. It used to be a channel dedicated to movies and things like that. Though I really do love his new content. Not gonna lie, it is really useful. Let's go with, let's see. Yeah, this one is what I wanted. Let's go with eraser. And like for me, I can't say like I'm like this magical person. A lot of my avoidance of things like NFTs and a lot of the scams that have come out is a mixture of extreme skepticism over anything financial related, as well as me being broke as fuck, so I can't necessarily impulsively invest in something, which has saved me. I mean, there are probably times where I might have just fallen for something if I had the money. And more times than not, if you're dealing with something that is a scam, you have to get in, like, right away. You have to know about it and just invest. And that's something that I just don't like. I don't like blindly investing in something without some sort of consistent pattern that I can reliably go back to. Like, the stock market has a track record behind it, and so it's a lot easier to want to go and invest in that because I have, there are laws, regulations, it's not the Wild West. Though I feel like we need to give credit to starting things, like businesses that are starting out, within bounds of reason, of course. For example, I wish I could remember how to pronounce the name. I think it was Omori, was a game that was literally funded on Kickstarter, and a lot of people were calling it a scam because it was taking a very long time to develop it. But the game turned out to be completely fine because it was released, and it is still a very popular, given the fact that it's an indie game, it's still pretty popular. I wouldn't say it's the most popular game, but it's still, like, really, it has its cult following. Then we have games such as the infamous Yandere Simulator, which literally has yet to be released, and it's been in development for like over 7 years. I remember when Stardew Valley was still in development, I got lucky and I found out about it like right before it was about to be released, and I remember a lot of people calling that shovelware as well. And shovelware is just basically no, it was vaporware. That's it. Vaporware is when you're promised something, but then it just goes into smoke. It just turns into vapor. It never gets turned into an actual program. And I remember there were some critics who were saying that. And the biggest key thing about vaporware is that the developer no longer comments on it whatsoever. Like, that to me is what is necessary for it to be vaporware, is that the original maker is no longer active on social media. They're not engaging with the audience. They're not engaging with anything. And I know that, what was it? A Concerned Ape was consistently posting updates and everything like that. They were like, okay, here's what the progress is, here's how we're fundamentally making the game. So it really wasn't, it really can't be considered a scam when the maker of the game is answering questions and things like that. And I see why people are very skeptical of things, but I just feel like we as a society are now becoming hyper skeptical. The second something is not like being released immediately, or if the developer is taking a lot of time with it, it's automatically considered a scam. And it's like, okay, is there reasonable updates on something? Like, Yandere Simulator at this point is considered to be a scam in my eyes, just because it's been like several years and we still haven't gotten a proper update. And this is like at one point I wouldn't have, but now I do. Let's not go with that size. And it's funny because to a lot, and this isn't all gamers, but there are a lot of gamers who will, and I'm going to particularly pick on gamers because I see this as a bigger problem in the gaming community. They will defend things that are objectively scam-ish because the developer is beloved, or because of personal attachments to the IP. An example would be almost all free-to-play games are, if not scams, borderline on a scam. Like, it's insane how much it can be scamish. I distinctly remember, because it's a lot of it's the free-to-play model is based off of, okay, you want to play the game? Well, we can have in-app purchases. These in-app purchases can offer you a lot more, and in some games it's not that bad, but in others it's ludicrously insane how much they offer for, like, these things. And when these things got far enough, it was like, I'm done. Especially when it comes to, what's the word I'm looking for? Loot boxes. Oh my gosh, those are the worst offenders of the video game industry. And the reason I call them scam-ish rather than just a straight-up scam is because, unlike standard scams, where it's, you get what you're promised. The problem is that it's predatory, to say the least. You have all of these, like, options to, I think that's a bit too dark for what I want. So it's like, having in-app purchases makes it a lot harder, because there were in-app purchases. They have an incentive to make the game ludicrously difficult, and those learning curves massive. And when you have these massive learning curves and you have these massive amounts of incentive to basically get these upgrades and things like that, it makes it difficult for those who just want to play a game. And it used to be only free-to-play games. And so when it was a free-to-play game, it was easy just to shut those down and avoid them because you knew what you were going into. It's when you go into a free-to-play game, you expect in-app purchases, you expect the game to be incentivized to do that, but now they're in games you have to pay for. Like, it's insane. And companies are even going for subscription models, making it impossible to find a lot of good programs that really don't have a subscription to it. And so they're advertising like, oh, we are doing this so we can do like a lot more basic upgrades, and it's like, that's kind of insane. It really is. Not even kind of, it just is insane that it's like, there aren't that many options to not subscribe, there are not too many options to do this, and so, yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. And my god, I do miss the old days. This is one of the few times I'll actually, I don't usually go on the whole, oh, the past was so much better, nowadays everything's worse, but it's a lot harder to find a AAA game that does not have some form of loot box. Most games, they're either heavily reliant on DLC, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, or they're heavily reliant on loot boxes and things like that. And the crazy thing is, these are kids' games. Like, many of these are kids' games. They're targeted toward children. And so it's like we have this... It's interesting to hear the politics of certain things are not allowed, yet loot boxes are still permitted in a lot of areas. It's just more of a, this is pretty hypocritical. If we're going to be protecting the children from like so many things, we need to protect them from the literal gambling and the literal, yeah, it's just basically gambling. Especially since it's, if you go to a store and you get Pokemon cards, there is a physical limit that you can get. And it's obvious. You have to go to a store, you have to buy these, and so it's a lot easier to visualize how much you're spending when it's a physical object versus loot boxes where there is, it's just too easy to spend the money. It's too easy to get to a credit card and just keep on spending and spending and spending. And when we're dealing with children, like if a child goes to a store and uses their parents' credit card, there's going to be a person behind the till who's going to obviously be suspicious that a child is taking a credit card and buying shit. Like, okay, kid, who did your parents legitimately give you their credit card so you can spend $16,000 on Pokemon cards? And, like, that's the hypothetical if the store has, like, $16,000 or, like, several $100s worth of Pokemon cards at any given time. Which I doubt anybody would actually have, like, $16,000. Or even, like, a few $1,000s. But in the virtual space, the only limitation is your credit card saying, hey, by the way, you've maxed out. I recently saw this episode of The Twilight Zone, and I think it was called The Card. Can't remember off the top of my head the exact name of it, but it was literally about a woman who took out a credit card, and it's very predictable. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very predictable episode, but it's still pretty decent overall. I'm not going to spoil it just in case people want to watch it. So I kind of just did by saying it's very predictable, but it's still a really good episode. It's worth a watch, and that's for sure. And I mean, it is worth. It's a product of its time, mostly because I think credit cards were still relatively new in the 80s. It was new enough where it would make sense for someone to make an episode where it's like, yeah, this is like a brand new thing. And getting that much into debt with a credit card wasn't as common as it is now. was it? The when I didn't grow up on the Twilight Zone, not just because it was out of my time, but because as a kid I wasn't necessarily into that thing, or those kinds of shows where it's like extremely dark. And when I was into the extremely dark, I was mostly into anime. So I would just watch anime and Japanese horror movies, but I do recall seeing the Twilight Zone movie with my mom. And my mom, she would tell me stories about how her dad would have her watch the film, and she was like way too young to see it. So that's more like my remembrance of it, but there, like I periodically watched Twilight movie stuff. Not even Twilight movie, just the Twilight Zone stuff from the more modern takes. Ooh, nice smell. And when I watched like shows and things like that, I'm not gonna be like ashamed to say that I mostly watched the more popular stuff. Like, it's not like, oh, when I was into it, I was into the obscure stuff, like name random manga here or name that. They were mostly popular, I'll admit. Though my favorite anime related story, which is pretty insane, mostly because of the fact that it's less about the fact that it's about this particular anime and more about the fact that it was how long I was obsessed with this one episode. So I don't remember the year it came out, but Pokemon was always popular, and the anime came out 2005, 2004. Hold on. I know this exact episode now because I memorized the damn name of it. Ghost of Maiden's Peak. What was? Oh, perfect. So let me go back to Twitch Studio real quick to make sure. So in 2000, was the time that the original Pokemon anime, I think, aired in the United States. I can double check again. I don't think it said it was a US or something. Let's go with US. Because okay, so I know that they were probably doing reruns at the time, but it was around the early 2000s for me. They were airing a lot of the reruns of the original season 1 of Pokemon. And so there was one episode in particular that I found to be really good, and it was the Ghost of Maiden's Peak. And the general gist of it is that Ash, Misty, and Brock show up to this area of the city, their world, and there is this really interesting legend about this about a maiden who, like, this backstory is she her beloved went off to war, and she stayed at the Cliff's Peak waiting for her beloved to show back up. And this is basically in the summary of the episode. I'm not giving spoilers away. The official story, according to locals, is that she stood there so long she turned into a statue. And the most relevant part of that was, I remember that episode the most because I was standing in my aunt's living room watching the show, and I remember the ending and the song. It was so captivating to me as a child that it stuck with me. And I believe it was 20 years later that I finally found the name of the episode. I'm not exaggerating. It was like 20 years. At least. Because I was barely 10 when the episode came out. I was that young, and I just remember just standing there. And for years and years and years, it was like one of those things that would randomly pop into my head, and that was the song. The song at the end of the episode. But it was also the song during when they were explaining the maiden's backstory and explaining everything, and there was the painting along with it. It was the painting and the song that came along with that painting that I distinctly remembered so much. And I can't give too much away because that would literally spoil the entire episode, and I want you guys to watch it. Like, it's such a good episode. Granted, it's probably not as great as, like, other Pokemon episodes. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it is just nostalgia. That's just a fact. I'm biased by nostalgia and by that memory, but I still think that it's a pretty good episode just by the nature of it having such beautiful music and beautiful artwork to go along with said episode. That episode and Bye Bye Butterfree. And the funny thing was, I remember the name Bye Bye Butterfree so vividly, and I did not remember the Ghost of Maiden's Peak. It is amazing how much I could not remember the name of Ghost of Maiden's Peak. Despite the fact that it was literally the entire episode was just about her. There was nothing else the episode was about other than her. And, like, at one point, I probably could have summarized the entire episode. Like, I could have explained, okay, this is what happens in the episode, this is how the episode ends, and yet, for some reason, I never bothered to look it up. Most likely because I'm a dumbass, and, I just did not realize that when I was younger, I could just look it up. Okay. Just trying to undo back. Okay, there we go. I like undoing back so I can see, like, the difference in where I stopped. And this should be, I'm gonna create a new one just for the highlights. And for the mouth, because that makes it a lot easier. if I recall correctly, I know I watched One Piece at one point, but I was never that big of a fan, so I never continued watching it. I never officially watched Naruto, because that wasn't my jam at the time. Because by the time, like, I discovered Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and whatnot, I was actually more interested in philosophical things at the time. Like, no knack to those who genuinely enjoy those. It was just not for me. And around that time, I was mostly watching, what was the film? I was watching more animes similar to Barefoot Gen, which was about the war in Hiroshima, which I recommend, but don't recommend watching if you're, like, really sensitive to war and stuff like that. That is literally, it's like a true story. It's like an autobiographical depiction of one person's memories of the basic war. Still a really good film. And there are a lot of really good anime and manga that I think that just, they kind of get swept under the rug, mostly because, I know, there are some that get swept under the rug. Sometimes it's because people, there is this one manga I read years and years ago, but I still own a copy of one of them. I might be mispronouncing it, but it's called Plus Anima. Anima as animals. And the whole premise behind the series in general was, in hard times, when children are in danger, they can get an animal spirit that will save them from whatever's going on. And so for example, if a child needs to, there's this one character called Husky, and Husky needed to get away from a really dangerous situation, and the closest thing he had was a body of water. And so he literally turned into what we would consider a mermaid, and he swam away. Too late. Like, he literally just swam away, and it was pretty interesting. So you have one kid, let's see if I can remember all the names. I only remember the 3 of them off the top of my head, by name. There is Husky, who can turn into a mermaid, Nina, who can turn into a bat, Kororo, who can turn into a crow, and there's one other, I really wish I could remember his name, but I can't for the life of me, and he is able to turn into, part bear. He literally has bear arms. And I know they explain why Husky can turn into a mermaid. They explain why another companion can turn into part bear, but I don't believe they explained why Nina can turn into a bat. Or if they did, I just don't remember it. Actually, now that I think about it, I will be back. Like, I'm not even going to turn into the back screen. I'm just going to be back. Okay, sorry about that. The only reason why I did this was because I need to know the name of the third character. I genuinely need to know. And have the book, so. Mm-hmm. There we go. So, the full names of all 4 characters, there's Koro, who can turn into a crow, Husky, who can turn into a fish, then we have Senri, who can turn into a bear, and the person I call Nani is actually Nana, so, and she is part bat. I literally had to know the name, otherwise I would have lost my mind. Hi, LD. Hey. Oh my gosh. I am such a bad mod. Conveniently, I am on very late. Yeah, I was like working really hard on this. Most of it was literally just nice, LD. Nice. I'm gonna go for this color for her hair. That is really good, LD. I am so happy for you. Yeah, I was just talking about like this one book series that I read like back when I was in like high school. The book series has been out forever. I don't know how popular it was in the US. Or at least I don't know the initial popularity. I kind of just took the book out of the library and I devoured all of them in like 10 minutes, so. Hello, Eddie's Gun. Like, I took the book out like years and years ago, and now I have like like right on me I have like book 10, which in my opinion is the best book. I don't know how to recommend the book series just because a lot of it is slice of life. And so not every book is like a required read. Most of them are just filler. It's literally just filler, but it's pretty entertaining. Then there are some books which, like, one of them goes into detail on Senri's past, the one who is half bear. That one is definitely worth a read. I need to go back and find the book so I can recommend each and every one that actually does have, like, relevance to the main characters' lives. Lives. Not lives. Hi, Hire. Wonderful to see you here. Well, it's still lovely to have you in chat, talking and thriving. Absolutely. I should have, like, one of those timers that actually does thank all my lurkers. If I don't, I should be making one. I really do want to have that. Oh, there it is. I forget that I'm on my second monitor when I do drawing. So, like, if you see me do this, it's because I, for some reason, want to get to my Twitch studio, and I completely forget that I would have to go right in order to do that. I don't want that. Too dark. Today's prompt is castle. Thank you so much for the gift sub, LD. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm kind of doing my two OC characters literally behind a castle wall. Like, this is a play castle and they're hiding behind it. LD, thank you so much. That's the reason why I have a command specially for you. Yeah, seriously, if you guys are not subscribed to LD for whatever reason, please give him a follow. He is an amazing streamer. Now, LD, you're one of the best streamers. For content, for everything. Don't let LD's humbleness fool you. Oh, that's why. There we go. Yeah, that's like the one thing I can't do is really pale hair, especially without a custom brush. I'm going to go back to this color. Because I really do love it. I love that emote, LD. I really do. Down to this one so I can add some Rappelschädung. Not trying to knack Miss Hellcat on literally anything. I think she did an amazing job, and I understand. Once you get a good grasp on how to make emotes, it can be a pretty fast process. Though that does take a lot of talent. It takes a lot of time to get to that point. To be able to create art that fast requires an understanding of the basics, an understanding of what the hell you're doing. So I give full credit to her and, like, my full praise. Thank you so much for the shout out to Miss Hellcat. She definitely deserves it. In a little bit, I might actually have to switch my music up just because I'm literally, the one that I'm listening to now is just a 3-hour version. Going back to this. Just so I can add a bit more, like, I don't want it that way. Just so I can add a bit more warmth to the shadows. Yeah, not erase. New thing. Go to 25. Not that I'm going to say this is lazily done, but I'm not going to be doing as many of the special effects that I normally do at the end, just because I am running on 3 hours of a stream and it is almost midnight. Like, by the time I'm probably done with this, it's going to be 11 o'clock at night, and I definitely do want to be wrapping up, like, soon. If not just for my own exhaustion, but because it is late for everybody else in my house. Have a good night, LD. Not ending yet, just trying to wrap up. But you have a good night. I know it's late for you. I was sort of wanting to do a background, but given the time restraints, I don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to leave it as a gray background, because I think that this is enough. I wanted a darker color, just because it's easier to add, like, highlights. Alright, she has different eye color. We're sure I gave her these dark brown eyes the last time. I'm gonna do a soft light on the eyes. And that's about it. If I can get the right brush. A soft light on eyes is instant depth, especially for dark ones. Oh, and I needed to wear a shirt. But that would literally be a quick... I forgot, because this is literally underneath all the other layers. The only part I really have to be careful about is, the part that's like right here. Yeah, at this point I'm just like, let me end this stream as quickly as humanly possible. Save as. Inktober 2023, day 14, save. Save again as a PNG. Yes. now to go to Twitch and see who's on. I'm gonna give AV a raid, because I think AV deserves one. I haven't raided him in like ever, so before I hit the raid button for AV, I just want to give everyone a quick thanks. Thank you so much to the fabulous and wonderful LD for gifting 2 subs, one to my hire and the other to Eddie's gun. I appreciate the subs immensely. Thank you so much for everybody who watched, everybody who lurked. I 100% love you guys so very much. And now for the raid. Start raid. Here we go. If you guys can stay for the raid, that'd be great. If not, once you guys get there, feel free to go where you want. And now, to raid.